Welcome to SuperTalk, a podcast hosted by Hillside Public Schools Superintendent Glover. The goal of SuperTalk is to provide an informative platform where Hillside Public School students, staff, and stakeholders can have a candid conversation with the district superintendent, as well as be spotlighted for their hard work and initiatives. Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of SuperTalk with Superintendent Glover here from Hillside Public Schools. Although we are not on Hillside Public Schools campuses today, we are once again coming to you from Kean University here in Union, New Jersey. But today we're in a special place, as you can see, Liberty Hall. We are definitely excited about the conversation we're about to have today, one that highlights and celebrates women, as this is Women's History Month. Also have next to me a social worker who, this is also Social Work Month. So we have a great conversation. We are in this space as we are going to expand our understanding and opportunities for our students and staff to come here and visit and learn about the great art and history and historical relevance that this place holds, not just on this campus, but in the state of New Jersey. However, not just about Superintendent Glover sharing a story. In order to have this conversation today, a rich conversation that I'm excited about, I have none other than the director of this space, Ms. Cisely Martin.
Hello, everyone. It's so good to see you. So good to be here. So good to be a part of the celebratory moments of this month.
Yes. And you are part of that celebratory moment. So thank you for allowing us to come to your home.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing us to share this space. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I've done my homework on you, but it's not my story to tell. It's your story to tell. So share a little bit about you and how you arrived to this space.
Well, okay. I'm going to try to make a long story short.
How short?
I can talk. I've said it before, I never met a mic that I didn't like, but I do have a story to tell. However, in terms of education and in terms of my journey to get where I am here at the school, that is not only where I am employed, but it's also my alma mater. And I'm just always overwhelmed every day when I walk through the doors. I really do love where I work. I started off in social work. I started off as a social worker, and loved that as well. I love that as well. And then I went to the school system, Newark Public School System, where I combined theater and social work. Instead of just saying don't do drugs, I showed theatrical ways of how to say no to drugs and other, negative behavior, and which opened up a whole new world to theater. I am a graduate of Arts High School. Go Arts High School, go Jaguars. I am a graduate there where I used art for education, and I continued in that. So my background is actually theater. However, in theater, I fell in love with fine arts, which led me to not just teaching through art, but also creating curriculums for art. And that's what led me here. And that's how I got here.
So, first of all, you dropped a lot of little nuggets in there, right? So let's unpack a little bit of that, because I think sometimes we gloss over. And I think what I want to make sure I capture, and I want to remind our audience, and I want to inspire, especially our young people, is that sometimes behind the scenes are humble folks who have done great things, and we don't understand their journey and their narrative, and who best to tell their story than the person who lived it. So let's unpack a little bit about your journey, okay. Right? So, native of New Jersey.
Yes.
Native of Newark, New Jersey. Newark. I mean, and Arts High, which is just recently was recognized on CBS as one of the great schools to watch here in the state of New Jersey. Beautiful broadcast. If you didn't get a chance to go back and look at Arts High in Newark, New Jersey. But for you, grew up in a city that is full of art, rich of art, entertainers, and then you graduate, you continue your journey, and then you end up becoming a social worker.
Yes.
Talk about how you became a social worker, which is still a valuable career. But talk to me.
That's amazing that you would even know that there is a story. So I wanted to be a journalist. Okay. In my mind, I was going to be the next Oprah.
Okay.
So one teacher told me, Oprah is already a person. You cannot be the next Oprah. You would have to be the next Ciseley. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I can do it. I can build her. to, to be the person that somebody wants to see at 4:00 every afternoon. I told my father's a 9 to 5 kind of guy. And he's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, yeah, I want to be on TV. I want to be, he's like, you're 4'11".
Oh, no, he didn't. No.
And, you can sing, he was very encouraging. He's like, you need to have a job where after a while you can collect a pension and that was how he was taught.
Right.
My father is the last generation of cotton pickers in his family. So I'm the first generation that did not.
Originally from where?
South Carolina.
What part?
Sumter, South Carolina.
Oh, I know it very well.
Yeah, Sumter, South Carolina. Okay. So he had goals and aspirations for us, my sisters. There's 2 of us. There's three sisters. And education was big in my home. And it was like, no, you're not going to pick a major in college where maybe you will obtain. You have to have certainty. And so that's what he taught. He taught certainty, and social work was certainty in my home. My oldest sister's a teacher, my middle sister's a nurse, and I'm a social worker. And that's what we were taught, even though now we have exceeded our degrees, but we did what we were taught. And it worked out for us because it gave us a sense of stability. But when you do what you have to do, you can do what you want to do. Yeah.
And so you touched upon how your heart was always into the arts, the theater specifically, right? But then you use social work and you use your platform to merge the two. Talk about how that worked for you.
So it was actually something that was given to me that I didn't even realize that would be applicable. I was working in Newark Public Schools, and things were going awry. The students were not really conforming to the curriculum or conduct codes and all of those things. How can I reach these students? And I realized that in having groups, we would do role play.
Okay.
And some of them really excelled in role play. And like, this is a situation. This is something. And it took me back to art high and things that we used to do in art high. And I remember I was a vocal major.
Okay.
And I had the opportunity to work with Miss Bashir. She was the drama teacher then. And it just changed my life, and it started with role play. And so during role play, I realized that they were learning from each other. I started writing, and I always wanted to write. I always wrote, and I stopped, and I started writing again. And I began to write different scenarios that the students would speak about, and how could you change that situation? And they actually helped me say, how could you change the situation? Because I was a good kid, even though I was a little feisty.
It's okay. It's okay.
I don't want to get on here lying.
That's okay. That's okay.
They created a school chorus for me, and because I was talking in religion class. I was like,
but you need to use your voice. That's what that was. That's all. You need to use your voice.
That's something to say,
yeah.
And so, but I, all those tools came back, and those tools were able to, help students years later. Here's 10 years, 20 years later. I'm still using those tools that I learned in high school and in social work to create a whole nother genre of education for students. And to this day, I'm still in contact with my students, and they're like, you remember this? That really helped me the other day. I used that technique.
So let's help connect the dots with people here for a second, because I think it's important. Your passion and your profession at some point merged, and it became your purpose. Your passion and profession became your purpose. And that's a beautiful story, right? And that's why I think it's always important. I'm going to keep on saying this. The person behind who creates this space that people walk into don't understand the passion, the the profession and how it leads to your purpose, right? So you never forgot your roots,
right?
Never forgot your roots in the theatrical space, in the arts, in the city of Newark. You never forgot your work as a social worker, and then you said, "All right, life has asked me to take a different journey," because the Creator sometimes puts us in spaces that we're not prepared. And students and those watching, I keep saying this. We never know what's going to be our next move, because sometimes that obstacle comes our way and we're like, wait, I wasn't expecting that. So transition happens.
Yes.
And now you're transitioning from Newark Public Schools to where? And how does that help you continue your purpose?
Oh, from Newark Public Schools, there was a journey because it was a layoff period. And so it was a regrouping for me because I thought that I was always a commodity. Like if someone needs me, they'll hire me. I went through a long period where I was not being hired. Okay. So that really created a sense of devastation for me because the rule is you go to school,
yes,
and you go through your college, you get your degree, and then you get a job and you stay on that job for 25, 30 years. And that's when you retire. So that's what I was prepared for. That was what life was going to be for me. And here I am in this unpredictable space. And so after I got laid off in 2010 and in 2012, I started my own theater company, Leap in High Productions. And with that, it opened up doors that I never thought I would be able to enter into. I started working there. I started, my own company. I started hiring people because you're not profitable unless you can give somebody else a profit. You just have something to say. I have an LLC, but I was able to hire people and be able to bring in a profit there. And then from there, I did part-time work at Programs for Parents. And I worked with them, building their resumes and helping people get jobs. And I was like, I don't even have, I'm helping people get jobs and I don't have the job that I want. And then a door opened at Newark Symphony Hall. And so I began to work at Newark Symphony Hall as a director of the Children Performing Arts Academy. But everything led to the next thing. Had I not had the first uncomfortable place, I would have never started my own theater company and gotten the experience to be at Newark Symphony Hall. So that built that. And in working at Newark Symphony Hall, the passion of art just overtook me. And seeing, people create the stage and build sets and the artistic abilities that people had. It's like, oh my goodness, making a space look like the scene, setting the scene. I went beyond just the script, writing the script, but actually setting the scene and taking, advantage of those things and learning more about that and learning how to teach someone else to do it.
So I just want to frame again. Perseverance is what allowed you to continue on the journey. Yes. An obstacle arose. I'm sure a very stressful obstacle.
Very stressful.
And you persevered, right? And I draw back because as we celebrate women this month, and every month we should, and every day, right? But as we celebrate women this month, we hear the P word so often, right? The passion, the pride, the purpose, the perseverance. And your perseverance opened the door for others, but it also allowed you to learn, right? And being in unique spaces became part of your story, your narrative. Right. So you are an inspiration. I don't know if you knew that, but you're an inspiration that we have to put as part of the archives of American history, right? Because you touch the lives of children. You touch the lives of folks. And I understand what Program for Parents does for people who are in search of young mothers many times who are and mothers and families. So you had your hand in that. You go to Symphony Hall and you add to your own knowledge, but you're also expanding your repertoire. Somebody comes knocking on the door and says, we want you here at Kean University to come and lead this work. Talk about that transition.
Oh, that transition. And I'm skipping over it, but every transition came with trial. Mm-hmm. So I do want to specify that. Like, it wasn't walking through the tulips and, smelling the roses and everything goes higher and higher. There is something that prepares you for the perseverance. Like that perseverance, it's a process. And sometimes we get stuck in the process.
Another P word. Look at the P's we're dropping. We're dropping P's today.
We get stuck in the process and we don't really get to the purpose. And that was something that I did not want to do, get stuck in the process, because sometimes the process can be so overwhelming. So I was going through another process when I came to Kean University. And that was COVID. Mm-hmm. COVID was going on. Mm-hmm. State hiring had gone on a freeze. Mm-hmm. So though I had the job, I hadn't started the job. So I came on first as a curriculum specialist. Mm-hmm. And what I would do is I would see the exhibition and I would study it. And then I would create a curriculum for students. So mm-hmm. Say HIA came, I would have a curriculum there. And they would be able to draw from that. So that's less work for the district, less work for the teacher, but it aligns with New Jersey standards, educational standards. So I started doing that. I had to make sure I studied everything and studied this educational standards for New Jersey and present that. And that just opened up so many doors for me. And then being the director at Newark Symphony Hall for the Children's Performing Arts, I want to clarify.
Right. No, you said that. Right.
Children's Performing Arts Academy. That prepared me also to be able to do guest experience and operations. And that's what I do here. I'm the director of guest experience and operations, which includes, making sure the building functions properly, making sure the exhibitions are appealing and beautiful, and that the space is just nurturing to us, and our mental wellness, as well as making sure that educational component is hit every time that someone leaves knowing that I've learned something when I've gone into the galleries at Kean.
You tap into your roots, and I'm going to bring back your experiences that you shared. Your father being from Sumter, South Carolina, which I'm very familiar with. I went to the University of South Carolina, so I know the state of South Carolina quite well. Right. Although I spent my summers in North Carolina with my family, South Carolina adjacent state, I definitely know. But the roots and the values that I know come from that region of this country were instilled upon you and your family members. So all of you went into service. Your journey of service has led you to this space now where you're still doing a service, right? And you're using your social work skills, your educational lens, as well as your theatrical space to inspire us and to bring to life things that many of our students, not just in Hillside, but across this state, may not be aware of. Talk about some of the exhibits that you're most proud of. Okay. I'm sure you're proud of everything, but things that stand out and you're like, you know what? If I could keep this on display for a long period of time, it has to be out there. Talk about those that make you smile. I see that smile coming out, so I know there's something on top of your head.
A few. I just want to make sure I'm able to mention all of them. Okay. We did have, when I first got here, the exhibit that was showing was from Knowledge Bennett. I don't know if you know, Knowledge Bennett was a New Jersey native from Asbury Park. And he had an exhibit on main campus, and it was Fear of a Black Planet. Okay. And I came in, and no one really...
Public Enemy title from his album.
Listen, no one knew. So I came in, I was like, oh, Fear of a Black Planet. I'm like, I get it. And they were like, what do you get it? Like, people didn't know. And I was like, this was Public Enemy. This was the album they wanted to ban. It was educational. It was an eye opener. And I just began to talk about things that were going on during the time that Public Enemy created that album. And it just gave the exhibition a whole new turn. Like, it's not just glitter and paint, but it's a story. That is an exhibition that just opened my eyes. Tamara Torres, she came and she's also a New Jersey native, and her exhibition, we currently have something on main campus. Now we have two, actually, Layers of Life and Escardante. Escardante is such a cultural piece. And one thing I loved about that exhibition is that when it opened, they had the Afro-Latinas come in and perform, the African dances that were taught to them, that cultural connection. And so it wasn't just the Latina community that was there like clapping, but it was also the Black community there clapping, the African community clapping. It's so relative, and it tells a story. And I think what I love most about the art that I'm able to express is the story. I love a story. I love a good story. And I think stories last longer than just that seeing it. Like, I see it, but once I add a story to it, it's like, oh my goodness, I will never forget it. So I think there's a story behind these exhibitions, and there's a story behind the artists. And if I can get that story, and if I can convey that story, that message, once you're not even there, once you leave, Superintendent, there's still a story that I will have from having this moment with you that is going to carry out your reputation. And I respect that,
Well, thank you. We have to receive that. What would these walls say at night when the lights go out? Have you ever imagined what type of parties happen in here when the lights go out and the deers are coming on the lawn and just looking into these glasses? What do you think is happening? I'm gonna put your artistic mind in.
Let's see. I think that this building is reminiscing on the good events, like the great events, and hoping that people come back. Like, we had a good time on March 1st, 2022, but we need you to come back, and I think a lot of times people like to be entertained, but they don't understand the purpose of art and the fullness of art. Sometimes art is not even sewn into, like, oh, if we have extra money, we'll give it to art. But if we have money and we don't have to give it to art, we won't. But everybody wants to be entertained. Everybody wants to go to the concert. Everybody wants to see
Everybody wants to laugh.
Everybody wants to laugh, but they don't realize that art is so necessary. Art saved my life.
You must have been reading my mind, because so often we hear artists, but we hear other folks say, art saved my life. You just said it. Art saved your life. Talk to me. How did it save your life?
So even as a little girl, I went to St. Mary's School on Martin Luther King Boulevard. It was High Street. I stayed on High Street. I went to Quitman Street School, then I went to St. Mary's, and then I went to Arts High, and then I went to Essex County College. Okay. So when I went to St. Mary's, my mother wanted to do well. She's like, she needs this education, but it was a lot. It was a lot. Religion class was a lot for me.
You were exercising your voice. That voice.
I was exercising my voice. And so one time the teacher said to me, can you sing Amazing Grace? And I said, of course I can. She's like, no, you can't. It's like, I can sing Amazing Grace. So she's like, sing it for me. I sang Amazing Grace. The next day I came, they started a chorus. So instead of going to religion class, I went to chorus, because that was the best thing for me to do. I was starting a little revolution.
No, not really, for real.
Yeah,
I don't see it.
Because I was like, well, how is it then that, and so it wasn't, it was just me wondering, and trying to find out, what was actually, I was trying to try. And so that saved me. And when I learned that I could sing, and, I got that encouragement, like, you can sing. It did something for me. It's nothing like support. It's nothing like people realizing you have a gift that no one else has, or not everybody else has. And even if they have it, they don't have your gift. And that carried me to Arts High School. That was the only school I tried out for.
Okay.
So if I didn't get in Arts High, this story would have gone. But I got into Arts High School, and from there I did theater even in college. And so that was that. But as you grow, life happens, and you find other things, that occupy your time. But art came back at a time when I was going through a traumatic experience in my life. Not just COVID, life was literally changing. My world came and was like flipped upside down. And I had to find solace in something, and, not just spiritually, but art became spiritual to me. It became a part of my spiritual growth. And I am so appreciative, because I was able to connect it all. And where those spots where I was broken, art came and kind of shellacked it and added glue and put it back together, because I needed to be broken. Sometimes we don't like the breaking, but I needed to be broken to be securely put back together. Yeah.
Listen, several years ago, I did a lot of research, personal research around art therapy. And I would love to be able to make sure that our kids are able to use the arts as a way for therapy. Absolutely. And you don't have to be a great artist. I think we all have appreciation for the genres of art that exist, because I believe we all want to cry, laugh, shout, sing, go to sleep to it, read a book. I just purchased a book called Sankofa Mantras. Beautiful, just inspirational pieces. I like to write poetry. I actually like to get behind the camera sometime and take some pictures, right? So an art comes out in many ways, but how do we nurture art, right? But we nurture art by having spaces like this. So I know we're talking, and I know in a few we're going to try to capture some moments and some pictures and add to this podcast. Okay. But what's the lasting impression you want folks to have when they enter and leave your home, the space that you have put your thumbprint on?
I love that. The lasting impression is I'm a stickler for guest experience. I'm a stickler for that, because I think that lasts. The whole experience is it goes beyond the gallery. It goes when you walk through the door, how were you greeted? Because that can take away the gallery. If you come through the door and somebody's like, no one acknowledges you, no one says good morning or good afternoon, whatever time of day it is, the campus could be beautiful. The art can be lovely. But how did you feel in that space? And I'm very aware of the need to connect with humanity, especially coming out of COVID, where we were wearing masks and you didn't have to say good morning. Right. You didn't have to say good afternoon, or you didn't have to turn your camera on. Sometimes I still play. I say, your camera's on. And they're like, excuse me. I'm like, your camera's on. I can see you. You can greet me. We can, we can attach to each other. And I think that's something that was lost during that season, was you and I being able to sit here and have a conversation. And so those things mean just as much as the art on the wall, because they're part of the experience. So it's the total experience. I want to give you an experience that makes you not only want to come back to learn, but to come back to say, hey, I thought of you today. I just wanted to see how you were doing. And that's okay, because we're public facing. So I want you to be able to take your good book and sit outside and read it without somebody saying, hey, what are you doing on this property? Enjoy the total experience.
You have so much joy and energy and passion is clear. What or who inspires you in this space today? And I know inspiration changes over time, but what or who inspires you in this space today?
Listen, it's Women's History Month, and I am going to be transparent in this moment. And I'm not in vanity, but in strength. I am inspiring myself.
Beautiful.
I have come to a point
beautiful.
I inspire me.
Beautiful.
And I feel like it's so important.
Yo, own that. That is beautiful. Yeah, yes.
Like, I feel it's so important, because I think the more I inspire me, the more I can inspire somebody else. The more I love me, the better I can love somebody else. The more I, see that I am important, is the less I have to compete with somebody else. And that's inspiring to me. I've finally reached a time in my life where I look in the mirror and I'm like, girl, I like her. I really like her. And I'm my purest form of me. I really am. If you catch me and I'm not looking, I will be the same person that I have always been. I'm so serious. I like to see people smile. I like to see people laugh. I like to smile and laugh. Let's just live. Death will come, but let's live while we're alive,
That is so beautifully said. And I don't think we need to say more, right? I think, listen, I'm inspired by listening to and observing beautiful people who came to the table with beautiful spirit. And I can tell your spirit and soul is very genuine. And I'm sure how you have transitioned throughout your life and evolved through your life has definitely played a part to where you're at today. I'm very happy that a mutual friend of ours connected us. Yes. I'm very excited for the moment to be able to say I sat down. I know we were trying to get our schedules together, yes. But the Creator puts us where we need to be at the right time. And I think this month was the right month. And I said that the Creator's going to put us together. It's about this space in Liberty Hall, right? But it's also about the person who is bringing life to this. Because I've been to museums and I've been to exhibits, and the guest experience was, I paid some money, or maybe I didn't, and I was there. I'm excited now to come back, because I feel you're going to give me that guest experience. Well, we're going to, first of all, let's be transparent. This isn't just about the interview. This is truly about making sure this space is utilized by my students. We're in the backyard of Kean University, Hillside Public Schools. Our students have already been here in some shape, form, or fashion, but it should be a regular spot on our, and we're going to make that happen. So I'm committed to that. Oh, but that's because of your energy and your spirit. So we're going to be here.
Great.
And we're
going
to
edit that part.
No, okay. and we're going to make sure that our students get the full experience of what it means to be in a gallery, but also hopefully being contributing members.
Absolutely.
Sis, I thank you.
Thank you. So much.
There's so many other things I wanted to talk about your name, because Cisely Martin, Ciselys a powerful name, especially in the state of New Jersey. I know spelled a little differently, but still has
the inspiration.
It still has a powerful. You mentioned that earlier. Your journey as you have walked these halls and seen a lot and inspired other folks. We need to hear that. But ultimately, as I said to you when we opened up, a lot of times we don't know the story behind the folks who are bringing great things to us. And I wanted to bring you to the forefront so that your story, your narrative can shine. We can see the radiance that's in you, so that when the students come, is Ms. Martin here?
Yes.
Right? Because they're coming for the experience.
Absolutely.
Hillside Public Schools, another episode of Super Talk, where I had the opportunity to be here on the campus of Kean University once again. I want to thank the host. Definitely always thank to Dr. Repollet for opening up his campus to us. He's been gracious in welcoming us. I want to thank our great co-host here today, Cisely Martin, and opening up her home to make sure that we can talk a little bit about her journey, who she is as a woman, who she is as an African-American woman in this society, and then what she contributes and brings to this community. Hillside resident, don't forget that. I think that's also important. So putting our people on the map for the great things they're doing in our community. Let's get it. Let's go. Continue to stand up. Hillside Public Schools. Superintendent Glover with Super Talk signing off.
Gallery. We just opened this today. Today is day one. So this is our soft opening. Yeah, so we just finished the painting and it may still be wet. But
your team puts this on the walls?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have
and how's it come off? Repaint
like scraping. So Dr. Zimmerman is actually the executive. Yeah, she's a curator. And so she comes in and she puts her vision here. A lot of times the exhibitions already come with an outline, like this is how it's set up. But sometimes she puts her creative tip to it as well, which is always awesome, an awesome perk to her being the curator. So each letter is placed one by one. I want to say that. This is not a script that you put here. Each letter is placed one by one. Very tedious. And we also have it translated in Spanish because we do have a large Spanish audience on our campus, and they are able to interact. However, we do have translators.
Talk to me if I wanted to have some of our students showcase some of their art and we do like a little art night here.
Oh, listen.
And that way we could tag team, not just maybe this exhibit or another exhibit, or we could.
Or they can have their own exhibit.
Mm-hmm, yeah, bring some of their pieces and put it on display.
That would be awesome. These photos were taken at a time, I think it's the late 1880s, early 1900s, when Japan finally opened up to other countries, and because they were very secretive about their wealth, and when I say wealth, I mean their rice, their religion, their women, and so they opened up with that. But what I like is, they showed the geisha, they showed their religious purposes. They showed how they, the wealth in their soil, but they also showed their armor. So they had like pictures, photos in their armor, and they wanted to display that because it was almost like a message of, you can come and learn about us, but also know we will fight for what we have. We're well capable of defending any aspect that you could try to come in and take over.
So is curriculum, are there curriculum sheets that come along with exhibits?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Listen, the possibilities are limitless,
We're going to do this. We're going to do an art auction, superintendent sponsored art auction. I got an idea for it.